Hi, I'm Khleif. Each and every week, I record an interview with a thought leader that I know you're going to get a ton of value from. Now, here on YouTube are the video versions of my podcast, Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. Now, to make sure you get the latest information, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's get started. Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Khleif, and I am thrilled you're here. I know you're going to enjoy the gentleman we're interviewing today. He's a super nice guy. His name's Larry Goins, and Larry is an expert in the single family space. And so you're wondering, why do I have him here on this show? Well, Larry also is very, very knowledgeable in the areas of automation, which is something that, you know, ties right into multifamily, especially if you're going direct to seller marketing. And he's been very successful in small towns. So we're going to dig into a lot of these things with him and personal vision and lifestyle. Larry, welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on, man? How you been?
Good, good, good. It's good to see you, my friend. And, you know, by the way, guys, Larry also has a podcast. He's a fellow podcaster. It's called Brain Pick a Pro. And so you'll need to check that out. You know, Larry's written a lot of books. But Larry, take a minute and tell my listeners a little about your story, why you love this business, how you got in it, maybe, and why you keep at it.
Well, you know, Rod, I grew up small town USA in a little town called Hickory, North Carolina. And we didn't have a lot of money. In fact, I've never been to college. You know, I've been to the school of hard knocks. And but I always had a desire to do better, to be better, to have more, to do more, and to be able to also help other people, not only my family, but other people less fortunate as well. So I went to a real estate seminar. I mean, imagine that, right? But I went to a real estate seminar and I signed up for the, it was a preview, and I signed up for the 3-day, and I kind of got the bug then. And I just started reading everything I could on real estate. And now, you know, there's podcasts. There weren't podcasts back then. Sure. Now there's webinars you can get on. Back then it was teleconferences, right? And now there's even RIA groups. You know, I bought my first house over 30 years ago, and it was an FHA non-qualifying assumable loan. They stopped those in 1978, right?
I remember those. Boy, I had a ton of them. Yeah.
Exactly. And they were a great way to do your first deal or two. You could assume a loan. If somebody had an FHA loan, you could assume that loan, and all you had to do was fill out a one-page paper. You didn't even have to put your social security number on it, right? You didn't have to qualify or anything. And it was great. It really was. But that didn't last long. So we had to learn, and I've just evolved over the years. And I've actually bought and sold houses in 12 different states. And I've done wholesaling, I've done fix and flips, I've been a landlord, I've owned residential, commercial, multifamily, mobile home parks. I've actually owned 2 mobile home parks. My first and last, it was the same one, right? But
that's interesting. I've got a good friend that loves them, but that's cool. So let me ask you this, my friend. You know, I know that you're also very, very good at seller financing. Can you speak let's not start there, actually. Let's start with marketing and automating that and really just automation in general. Can you speak
Sure.
to what you've done? Can you speak to what you've done to automate your infrastructure and your business?
Absolutely. There's a lot of things we've done. Back when I was getting started years and years ago, I mean, we would do, you know, direct mail, or we would go out and knock on doors and things like that. But now you can do direct mail. We have, when a call comes in, it automatically goes into our CRM, right? Mm-hmm. Our customer relationship management software. It automatically creates a task for the acquisition manager, and then they call the person back. If they don't answer the phone live, everything goes right into the CRM. It creates tasks and opportunities, and we can click a button and send out a contract. There's just so many different things we can do. We're doing voice blast, ringless voicemail, text broadcasting, and just so many things. We're using predictive dialers to cold call people. There's just so many things you can do. And now, you know, we have a business that I love residential real estate. I like talking to the people, but a lot of the things we do will relay over to multifamily or office or whatever. But I love getting on the.
I want to stop you just for a second, because you threw so many great bullets out. I'd like to drill down on some of them before we move past them, because First of all, if you don't mind, can we go back to the CRM? Can you talk about the platform that you're using now and how you like it?
Yes, we use a platform called Podio, okay? Podio. Many people probably already know it. There's a lot of CRMs that are out of the box, but I needed something that was customizable and you can change it. And our guys have a script that they go through. When the phone rings, they answer the phone, a script will pop up. They just go through the questions. That's all they do, right?
Right.
And
So you can have people working in their underwear at home. It said you can have people working in their underwear at home and the phone rings and boom, via VoIP, voice over IP, or right there on the computer, they see the questions to ask. Okay.
Absolutely.
Podio is awesome. By the way, guys, a couple of free ones that I talk about in my coaching and courses. One CRM is Really Simple Systems. Another one is Zoho. But okay, so I want to drill down on some of these other things, Larry, because I just don't want to blow past them. You do a voice blast, voicemail blast, right? So is that the ringless thing? Is that slide broadcast, or what do you use for that?
Yeah, it's like slide dial or slide broadcast are ones that you can use. We do and that's called RVM, ringless voicemail. So in other words, you're not bothering people. You drop them a voicemail, you pre-record a message, and then you set it up and it goes out. Their phone doesn't even ring. All of a sudden they have a voicemail and they listen to the message, right? And you can use this for follow-up, for initial marketing, and a lot of different things.
Well, so again, and I want to drill down just a little bit more. And guys, don't think this can't work for multifamily. If you're in the sweet spot of, say, 5 to 30 or even 40 doors, you're dealing with mom and pop sellers, okay? You're dealing with unsophisticated sellers in many cases. And if you can get their phone numbers, this is a great way to maximize your reach. I've got the slide broadcast. I personally have not used it, but I've heard great things about it. I've heard great things about Podio as well, from a lot of the hitters in the single family space that use it. So RVM, slide broadcast. So you do texting as well.
Right. There's voice comm, there's text comm. There's a lot of different ones out there that you can use for text broadcasting, but you can have a list, upload that list, and broadcast them. Like let's say you're looking for a property manager, okay? Maybe you've got a property that you bought in another town and you've got a list of 20 different property managers, right? You could send them a slide broadcast, or you could send them a text broadcast. Hey, I'm interviewing property managers for a new property I just acquired in St. Louis or wherever.
Love it. Now, but let me actually, I skipped past something. What do you do to get phone numbers? What do you use to get owner phone numbers?
That's a great question. There's a few tools out there, but my favorite one, Rod, is needtoskip.com.
Okay.
Needtoskip.com. You can take any direct mail list that you have that has a name and an address. You upload it at needtoskip.com, and then you upload your credit card, everything, you put all your information in, and then they will research, and they'll have a hit on about 60% of your list, and they will send you back the phone numbers for the people in your direct mail list.
Love it. Now, guys, if you haven't heard me talk about this before, there is a little nuance with single family versus multifamily as it relates to mailing. Now, I know you do mailing as well, correct, Larry?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, sure do.
And if you pull a list of multifamily, what you're going to find is most of the time, or very, very often, those properties are owned in entities. So they're owned in LLCs or corporations, and if you mail to the registered agent of the corporation, well, you know what's going to happen to that mail. And so what we did, we actually did it in the mobile home park space, and I got this idea from my friend Kevin Bupp, who's got the #1 mobile home park podcast out there. But what we did was we hired a bunch of virtual assistants, and we had 6 of them in the Philippines. They all spoke English. They worked 40 hours a week, and we had 6 of them working full time for $1.93 an hour each. So I had 6 people working for under $12 an hour. And what they would do was they would research the name. Well, they did a lot more for us as well. But one of the things they did as it relates to this conversation is they would research the name of the entity in the Secretary of State's website, whatever state you're in, and they would see who the principals were. They'd see who the owners were, and then we'd get home addresses, and then you could use this resource you just said, need to skip. We used LexisNexis just because I owned a litigation support company back then, but you can use TLO as another one that I've heard of, but it's kind of hard to get in because they're very regulatory. But this need to skip's a great tip. I appreciate that. But then we'd get the phone numbers, and then do you use VAs or do you just use domestic help, Larry?
We actually use both. We have both.
Okay. Yeah, because I will tell you, if you do your research and you do your screening, there are people in the Philippines that sound like they're from Wyoming. We had one guy, Leo, that sounded like he was from Wyoming, and he was $5 an hour. So, but the point is, in our courses, we go through, how to screen them. It's a little different than hiring somebody here. You have to screen them very, very carefully, and then you have to test them. It's not like hiring somebody here where you get a resume. The resumes are irrelevant, but it's still a great resource. So back to so you do texting. Once you've got that phone number, you can text. You can do the slide broadcast where it leaves that recording on their mail. And let me just look at my notes here. Okay, the no ring. Okay, so please continue. So we're talking about automation. You're using a CRM for all these things. Did I cut you off before you finished? Was there anything else you can add?
No, we actually, like on the marketing side, we do use Podio, we use RVM, we use text broadcasting. We also use a dialer to cold call people. You can have one person, whether it's a VA in the Philippines or whether it's a person here in the States, you can have one person sitting at a desk or, with their phone, and you upload your list to a service called Mojo, mojosales.com or vulcan7.com. We like Mojo the best, but you can upload that list, and it's a predictive dialer, and it can call 1, 2, or 3 numbers at a time. And then as soon as one of them picks up, it connects you and pops up their information, so you're looking at and you know exactly who you're talking to, and then you can get on the phone and talk with them.
I love it. What was that? Mojo, what was that? Mojo what?
Mojosales, SELLS.com is their website.
Love it. Awesome. So that's on the marketing side, automation. What else do you automate? Now, in the multifamily space, you can't push a button and do a contract. In fact, guys, those of you listening, do not do a multifamily contract unless it's residential multifamily, 2 to 4 units. That you could do. You could do the the simple contracts. But if you're going to do a contract on 5+ doors, by God, you better have an attorney. I've done thousands of contracts, and I use an attorney every single time. To this day, I could write a contract, but I still use an attorney because there are things you're going to miss, things you forget to put in, and on and on. So you always use an attorney. But what else? If you could think multifamily, put your multifamily hat on for a minute, Larry, what else might you want to automate in this realm?
Well, here's an idea that will work for whether it's multifamily or anything is, you want to be able to, a lot of people are just doing direct mail, or they're just doing cold calling, or they're just doing Facebook ads. So let's say you've got a list of multifamily units, 5 to 50 units or whatever. Then what you're doing is, you want to have that direct mail list. You're going to mail those. You're going to have a VA in the Philippines or need to skip or TLO. We have TLO as well, but it's harder to get. And you're going to get the phone numbers. But then here's another thing that you can do. So you're going to hit them with direct mail. You're going to hit them with cold calls, right? You left them a message. You can send them an RVM. Wow, didn't I just get a postcard from these guys? And now they're calling me. And then what you do is you upload that list to Facebook, and Facebook will create what's called a custom audience, okay? A custom audience. So now only people who have a Facebook account that have that phone number or that email address, if you have that, or that address or that name will see your ad. So now they've got a postcard or a letter in the mail. You left them a voicemail, and they saw you on Facebook. They're like, wow, these guys are everywhere. Maybe I better call them.
Yeah.
right?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Awesome. Awesome. So before we move on, is there anything else you can think of on the automation front? Now I didn't give you any time to prepare for this, so you're already knocking it way out of the park. But if there's anything else, I don't want to move on if there's anything we missed.
Well, some of the things that we do on the residential side, and it could apply, I guess, to multifamily is, I buy all my stuff over the phone, okay? I mean, because I buy in multiple states. I mean, of course, yes, you're going to go out and do a field inspection and all that, but
Sure.
but I negotiate over the phone.
All right. Let me stop you. That absolutely applies in multifamily. And let me tell you what I mean. Guys, I mean, when Larry and I are both long a tooth and we remember, listings in the MLS books and that's how you found deals. But I'm going to tell you that with laptops and with the internet, you can do just about everything in your underwear at home as far as your preliminary due diligence on a property. I won't even go fly to look at an out-of-state property unless it's under contract. Okay, so all of that, like you just said, Larry, can absolutely translate over. You've got Google Earth. You can go down and look at the street view. You can drive down the road and on Google Earth and see what's on the corner. You can, and if there's a strip club and a liquor store and a pawn shop, that's a clue. Okay, you can go on Spot Crime to see what the crime is around that area. You can look at the cars in the parking lot. So there's so much you can do. You can do the area research. So no, I'm sorry, I stole your thunder there. Please continue with your thoughts on it, and because it absolutely is doable, like you described.
Absolutely. We use the computer and the internet all the time. We look up the crime, like you said. You can use Spot Crime. You can use Zip Skinny. You can use crime reports. You can even use Trulia. Trulia used to have a heat map that the worse the neighborhood, the more red it was. I think they thought red was a negative connotation, which it is. So they changed it from green to blue instead of green to red, right?
Sounds like Democrats own Trulia. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. They wanted to go blue instead of red, right? That's funny. That's a good analogy. I like that. But yeah, we also use a mobile notary. If we need to get something signed by somebody and we need to get it signed quick, in my business, I can be on the phone with the seller, all right? I can be on the phone with the seller and I can negotiate a deal, right? And literally within 2 hours, I will have a mobile notary at their house signing the paperwork within 2 hours of me getting off the phone.
Wow. So I don't want to move past this real quick here. So guys, if you're mailing, let's say 2 to 10 doors in a market that you don't live, you could absolutely do what Larry's talking about here. You could do the mails, the calls, the texts, all of that stuff. And then when you're on the phone with the seller, now you could, and that, actually 2 to 4, I would say 2 to 4 doors would be better. But if you're doing that, if you go above 5, 5 to 10, you probably still could do a residential contract. And I know I'm refuting what I just said a minute ago. I would recommend you use an attorney at that point. But if you're really seasoned, on probably a 5 to 10 unit, I personally wouldn't. Over that, I would. But let me say this. Or let me ask this. How do you find the notaries in that market? Is it like something you'll find on Google, or how do you find these people?
Well, that's the best part. I've already found one company, and the one company, they have a network of mobile notaries all over the United States. Let's say I found a property in Dubuque, Iowa, but the owner lives in San Diego, right?
Okay.
Literally, I can tell that owner in Dubuque, Iowa, I could say, the property's there. I could say, look, I know you're in San Diego. I've got a person that's out in your area. I can have them at your house in a couple hours to get this paperwork started so we can get the due diligence process going.
Okay. I love it. And what's the name of the company?
The name of the company is nssnotary.com. That stands for National Signing Service. nssnotary.com. And check this out, Rod, it's only $75. Come on.
Oh, that's a no-brainer. Because, again, if you cut a deal with somebody and you know that's got a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 unit property, and you cut a deal, and then they start thinking, did I move too quick, or they start getting seller's remorse. But if you're in their door in 2 hours, they haven't got a chance to get seller's remorse. And no, I love it. That's a great strategy. And again, let me go back to the attorney with the contracts thing, because I kind of waffled on that a little bit. I'm used to dealing with much larger numbers. So we closed on a 403 door property this week with 208 a couple weeks ago, 174 next week. So I've got the mindset you must have attorneys now. But when you're in the smaller properties, you're okay. If you're a little bit seasoned, to use a real estate approved, realtor approved contract for a smaller property. Right. So because the local real estate associations in pretty much every state have made them very fair. And now, of course, people like you and I, Larry, we wrote our own contracts back in, and I'm sure you have your own, and I wrote my own back when I was doing single family. But all right, so that's automation. You gave some great resources. Thank you for that. Let's now, excuse me. Now let's talk a little bit about negotiation, because I know you're great at negotiating. And I mean, I've had some great negotiators on the show. I had Chris Voss, who wrote Never Split the Difference, that FBI hostage negotiator. But there's so many pieces. Oh,
that's a great book.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, I had him on the show. I actually had him come to my.
I love it.
Yeah, I had him come to my mastermind too. I've got a mastermind with about $4 billion in assets in it represented, and I had him speak there, and he's just incredible. But listen, there are so many aspects to negotiation. I want to hear your take. So let's give some examples of strategies that you've used successfully to negotiate with, let's say, a seller.
Well, number one, people do business with people they like and trust, right? A lot of people say people they know, like, and trust. I've had people accept an offer. They've never met me before. Within 9 minutes, they agreed to sell me their house for a lot less than they were asking, right? In 9 minutes over the phone. And they didn't know me from Adam, right? Huh. So you've got to spend the majority of the time building rapport. You got to make a friend, right? Make a friend, make a sell. Make a friend, make a sell, right? What can you ask them? You got to find out about them. What do you do for a living? What do you like to do in your spare time, right? So you got to get a little personal with them. You also need to, there's a lot of people out there, even in the multifamily space, Rod, that are don't-wanters. They're tired. They're done, right? They're over it. They're done. They want to get rid of it. So you need to commiserate with them a little bit. Give them some empathy, right? You also want to mirror and match people. If people are speaking real fast, if they answer the phone, hello, how can I help you? You're going to talk back. Hey, this is Larry. How you been? Right? If they're like, hello, then you're going to slow down a little bit. Hey, this is Larry. How have you been? Notice I said, how have you been? Not how are you doing? Who do you say how you been to? People you know, right? People you know. So once you build a little bit of rapport with them, I'm sorry?
I said, that's interesting. How have you been on your first phone call? Exactly. Then you got to qualify them, right? You got to qualify them. You got to, you want to find out a little bit about that seller, about that property, and why they're selling, right? I'm a firm believer that prescription without diagnosis is malpractice, right? So you could even say something along the lines of, I'm a firm believer that prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So let me ask you a few questions to see what, if anything, we need to do to help you, right? So, and that's almost like a takeaway. It's like, I'm not saying I'm going to help you. I'm not trying to get you to sell me your property. I'm just saying, let me ask you a few questions, see what, if anything, we need to be doing, right? Just keep it simple. Love it. And then once you qualify them a little bit, you want to build some value. Show them what you know. Show them what you've done. If you've never bought a property before, let them know about the education you've gone through, right? Let me stop you for 1 second. Let me stop you for 1 second. I'm sorry. I don't want to pass the qualification. Any other qualifying questions you might ask? Because guys, you want to make them think you may not do it. You want, and it's so important. You want to make them just a hair uncomfortable. It's very subconscious. But besides the one you gave, any other qualifying questions you can think of? I know I'm catching you off guard with this stuff.
No. It's okay. I'm glad to do it. I like to ask the question, tell me about the property that's causing you problems, right?
Okay. All right.
And remember, you want to make the phone ring. Even if you're sending RVM or text blast or whatever, you want them to call you, right? Or direct mail. You want them to call you so you can answer the phone and say, hello, this is Larry. How can I help you?
Right.
Yeah, I've got a property I'm thinking about selling, or I might be interested in selling, right?
Right.
Another thing we ask is, what's going on in your life or business that has you thinking about selling your property?
Oh, I love it. That's a great question, man. And shut up and let them answer. That's a great question.
Not only do you let them answer, but when they give you the answer as to why they want to get rid of the property, it's very important that you say these words. Just to clarify, what I'm hearing is you've owned this property for years, you're getting older, you're tired of dealing with it, it's a management headache, your kids don't have an interest, and you just want to get rid of this property so that way you don't leave a headache and a burden to your family. Is that what I'm hearing? And when you repeat it back to them, it's much more stronger than them just saying it themselves.
Love it. Love it. It really cements it. It cements it. No, I love it. Okay.
It reinforces the pain.
Right. So you qualify them, and sorry, you were moving into the next piece, and I just wanted to do a little more qualification. What was the next piece?
Sure. The next one is you've got to build value. Show them what you know, show them you know what you're talking about, and, the market, the economy, what's going on. Even in residential property, I will tell them, I buy and sell a lot of properties, and let me tell you what properties similar to this are going for right now, right? Whether you sell your property to me or not, maybe I can help you down the road, whether we do business or not. That's that's showing value and showing that you know what you're doing, and you're not trying to close them, you're not trying to sell them, but we are closing them, right?
Oh, sure you are. Sure you are. Love it. Okay.
Absolutely. And then after that, you're going to build desire. You want to build desire for them to want to work with you, right? You're a problem solver. You're offering solutions. In fact, I might even say, we're not just a quick cash buyer. I've got many different ways to help you. I've helped a lot of different property owners sell their properties many different ways, and we're able to work something out that's beneficial for both parties, which is what you want, isn't it?
Right. And talk about how you segue into a seller financing conversation, because that's something my listeners should hear as well. Because guys, there's nothing better than seller financing.
Absolutely. And I do a lot of seller financing. If the seller is at X price and I'm at X price, whether it be 20,000 less or 200,000 less or whatever, I might mention to them, well, on a property like this, I've got a way, and I've worked with a few people in the past that I've been able to help them get their price, keep getting cash flow without having to deal with the headaches of dealing with property managers and tenants and things like that. Is that something you'd like to hear more about? So I get them intrigued, and I get them to ask me, right? I get them to ask me. And I've negotiated no money down seller finance deals and payments less than a regular mortgage, right?
Yeah, me too. Many times. I've done deals where I've made a payment for a year because the property needed so much work. I'm like, listen, let me put the money into the property first to protect your investment, because it's run down. And it was the truth. And let me add something. The other thing you could add to that intriguing question is, I'm also able to help people save a lot of money in taxes through this methodology, because really they're only paying taxes on the amount they receive every year. So, you can increase cash flow. If you show somebody, listen, you're going to sell this property for $1 million and you put it in the bank at 1%. Here's what you're very often dealing with retired people that are literally just looking for cash flow. And you show, this is what your payment's going to be in the bank. If I'm paying you 5, 6, 7% interest and you're only paying taxes on the amount you receive from me every year, you're going to make 3 times in cash flow what you're going to get from the bank. And so it's a real compelling argument if you've got, free and clear property.
We've got a whole process we go through with that, and we tell them, well, let's say, you told me you bought that property for $200,000 20 years ago, and you're selling it for $800,000. You got a $600,000 gain. You've depreciated it down to zero. You've got an $800,000 gain that you're paying taxes on, right? So that $800,000, even though it's long-term capital gains, right? You've got, that's $120,000 coming out of your pocket just like that.
Right.
So how would you like to be able to not only get your $800,000, not pay taxes on it, only pay the taxes in the year you receive the money, and have passive income coming in at the same time without having to deal with the tenants?
And passive income that's much higher than you'll get if you cash out. Okay.
Exactly.
Because, a retired person is not going to take their money and put it into another high risk investment. It's going in the bank. They're not going to buy another property. They're not going to risk their money in the scary stock market or anything like that. So, it truly is a win-win. You're helping, particularly with
Absolutely.
You're helping them.
And we tell them to grab a pen, and I want you to write this down, because I want you to talk to your accountant about this. I want you to write this down. The IRS has an IRC, an internal revenue called the installment sale, right? Mm-hmm. Called the installment sale. And your CPA will understand what that means, okay? And by me encouraging them to talk to their CPA about it, right? And then we'll talk in a week or so. By me encouraging them, it takes down the defense that I'm trying to scam them, or I'm trying to tell them something that won't work for them, right?
Love it. That's a great tip. Great tip.
Right. And then you have their CPA tell them what's going to be the difference if I put this $800,000 or really $680,000 in the bank at 1% versus I get a monthly payment coming in. They'll
help you sell them. They'll help you sell them.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Love it. So, let's talk a little bit. Let's shift gears now. Let's talk a little bit about vision and the importance of vision. You're a real motivated guy, very successful. Talk about, for someone to create that success in their life, what they might do towards that area of their life.
Well, for many, many years, Rod, I was chasing the dream, living the dream, chasing the dream. I was up early, staying out late, working many, many hours. And I realized that I had become a slave to my business, right? The business wasn't serving me. I was serving the business, right? So I had to take a step back, and this was about a year ago. I took a step back and said, hey, there's some things I just don't want to do anymore. Like, I've written several best-selling books. I travel around at expos and conventions, and I've shared the stage with Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, Donald Trump, and I just decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to see airports, hotels, and Ubers anymore. So I love being on the phone. I love talking to people. I love the art of the deal. I love doing deals. So I've got a team right outside my office, and they're handling the marketing, the lead generation, the leads coming in, and then I get on the phone and I buy houses, and I love it. And we're buying and selling 10 to 15 a month. And if I don't want to come in, I don't come in. If I want to come in, I come in, and I just enjoy it. I love chasing the deals. Yeah. And it all started with, what do I want my life to look like, right? What do I want to be doing? I like being around people. I like the camaraderie. Whenever we get a deal, we ring a bell in the office. Everybody claps. I love that. So it all started with, what did I want to do? What do I not want to do? And, it's like you said, you got to start with a list of what do you want, everything you want to be, have, and do, right? I mean, you taught that on my podcast. Right. So it's really, really good to do that. You want to start with, what do you want your life to look like, right? and don't put limitations on it. What do you want it to look like? Then after you do that, you've got to sit down and figure out, how much is it going to cost me to generate this lifestyle that I want? It's not a matter of, how many sports cars can you have? How many houses do you have? It's, what do you want your life to look like, right? And then what is it going to cost to do that, right? And you got to have the mentality, how much is enough, right? How much is enough?
Sure.
So you get that and you determine what you want, right? And then you determine how much is it going to cost to get there. Then it becomes more about a personal vision than how many properties can I own, how many doors can I own, how much passive income can I generate. You've got to have a number, right? Once you get to that number, then everything else is gravy and you can do whatever you want to.
Well, I'll add something. I'll add a couple of things. That was really good what you just said. And you can reverse engineer how to get to those goals. Once you know what it is you want, you can just determine, how many properties do I need? How many doors? How many calls do I have to make to get those doors? What do I have to do? And you back all the way into what you do every day to achieve those. But what I like about what you said is you're looking at it through a lifestyle filter. And then I will add something else. And guys, those of you listening, you want to play to your strengths. You want to play it because your strengths are going to be what you love doing. You want to be doing something you love. Like you said, you love the camaraderie, Larry. You like ringing the bell. You like, you love talking to sellers. So figure out, guys, in this multifamily space, figure out what you love to do and either hire or align or partner with someone that does the opposite. And a combination that we see very often in this business is because multifamily has a real analytical component, and then you get but you also have to build a team and be out there selling. You have to sell investors on your deals. You have to sell sellers to do business with you. You have to develop relationships with brokers and bankers and everything else. So there's an outwardly facing component, and then there's the analytical component. And some of the best partnerships we've ever seen are a combination of one guy that's super analytical or woman and the face of the company that's out there, the mouthpiece, for lack of a better way to describe it. Right. And so, and that combination is incredibly powerful because they're playing to their strengths. And would you agree with me on this, Larry, what I just said?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so true. That's so true.
Okay, great. Well, listen, my friend, you have added a ton of value. I really appreciate you being on the show. People, you can check out his podcast at Brain Pick a Pro, and his website is LarryGoins.com, Goins. Larry, great hanging with you, my friend, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great, man. Thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, buddy. Take care. Hey, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you listen to podcasts, join me on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to those podcasts. Just search for Lifetime Cashflow through real estate investing.
Any investment opportunities mentioned on this podcast are limited to accredited investors. Any investments will only be made with proper disclosure and subscription documentation and subject to all applicable laws.